Hello and welcome to today's episode, which contains the following topics: export marketing, concept and environment, the exporters and importer, role of exports, scope of marketing and why should a firm export, trade terms in export marketing. Students, since there is a lot to cover, thus we have divided it into three parts. The first and the second part has been covered in the previous episode, which includes the following topics: export marketing concept and environment, the exporter and importer, and terms related to 4 P's of international marketing, role of exports, scope of exports. The third, which we are covering in this episode, would finally cover scope of marketing and why should a firm export. We will also cover trade terms in export marketing. Before we go any further, allow me to give you a quick introduction about myself. I am Miss Pallavi Mohan, working since 17 plus years both nationally and internationally. Worked in 5 countries and studied in 3. Have held leadership positions in the field of marketing, retail, operations, PR and communications. Recent assignment was with Samsung Electronics as corporate communication professional. Students, let's start with understanding some important terms. Scope of marketing. Some of the most important scope of marketing are as follows: 1. Goods, 2. Services, 3rd. Events, 4th. Experiences, 5th. Persons, 6th. Places, 7th. Properties, 8th. Organization, 9. Information, 10. Idea. The scope of marketing deals with the question, what is marketed? According to the famous Kotler, marketing people are involved with 10 types of entities, which I just mentioned. Students, let's see all the 10 together. First, goods. Physical goods constitutes the major part of country's production and marketing efforts. Companies market billions of food products and millions of cars, refrigerators, television and machines. Second, services. An economy advances a large proportion of their activities in focused on the production of services. Services include work of airlines, hotels, car rental firms, beautician, software programs, management, consultants and so on. Many market offerings consist of a mix of goods and services. For example, a restaurant offers both goods and services. Third, events. Marketers promote events. Events can be trade shows, company anniversaries, entertainment award shows, local festivals, health camps and so on. For example, global sporting events such as Olympics or Commonwealth Games are promoted aggressively. Both companies and fans actually. When I was working in Samsung, even we had a budget for CSR, corporate social responsibility, and we chose one of the categories as sports. Fourth, experience. A product is promoted not only by communicating features but also by giving unique and interesting experience to customers. For example, Maruti SX4 comes with Bluetooth technology to ensure connectivity while driving. Similarly, residential townships offer landscaped gardens and gaming zones. Students, we had not heard this earlier, but now it's a part of marketing and we call it great experience. Fifth, persons. Due to a rise in testimonial advertising, celebrities marketing has become a business. All popular personalities such as film stars, TV artists and sports persons have agents and personal managers. They also tie up with PR agencies for better marketing of oneself. I myself had requested and got many celebrities to launch Samsung mobile phones and televisions, and we worked a complete planning around it. This made our product successful in the market. Thus, it's important to have a good product, and more important is to market it well. Cities, states, regions and countries compete to attract tourists. Today, states and countries are also marketing places to factories, companies, new residents, real estate agents, banks and business association. Place. Marketers are large real estate agents and builders. They are using mega events and exhibition to market places. The Tourism Ministry is also aggressively promoting tourist spots locally and globally. Seventh, properties. Properties can be categorized as real properties or financial properties. Real property is the ownership of real estates, whereas financial property relates to stocks and bonds. Properties are bought and sold through marketing. Marketing enhances the need of ownership and creates possession utility. With improving income levels in the economy, people are seeking better ways of saving money. Financial and real property marketing need to build trust and confidence at higher levels. Eighth, organizations. Organizations actively work to build image in the minds of their target public. The PR department plays an active role in marketing an organization's image. Marketers of the services need to build the corporate image, as exchange of services does not result in the ownership of anything. The organization's goodwill promotes trust and reliability. The organization's image also helps the companies in the smooth introduction of new products. Ninth, information. Information can be produced and marketed as a product. Educational institutes, encyclopedias, non-fiction books, specialized magazines and newspaper markets information. The product packing and distribution of the information is a major industry. Media revolution and increased literacy levels have widened the scope of information marketing. 10th, idea. Every market offers includes a basic idea. Products and services are used as platforms for delivering some idea or benefit. Social markets widely promote ideas. Maruti Udyog Limited promotes safe driving habits, need to wear a seat belt, need to prohibit children from sitting near the driver's seat and so on. Students, thus we see how such marketing efforts rarely help companies. Students, although we had covered these terms, however, would refresh important terminology as it is much related. Export terms. The term export means shipping in the goods and services out of the jurisdiction of a country. The seller of such goods and services is referred to as an exporter and is based in the country of exports, where the overseas based buyer is referred to as an importer. In international trade, exports refers to selling goods and services produced in home country to other markets. Export of commercial quantities of goods normally require involvement of the customs authority in both the country of export and the country of import. The advent of small trades over the internet, such as through Amazon and eBay, have largely bypassed the involvement of customs in many countries because of the low individual values of these trades. Nonetheless, these small exports are still subject to legal restrictions applied by the country of export. An export counterpart is an import. there are many good reasons or benefits for exporting. These include the following: increasing sales. Exporting is one way of increasing your sales potential. It expands the pie that you earn money from. Otherwise, you are stuck trying to make money only out of the local markets. In case of South Africa, our market is relatively small in comparison to the markets of North America, Europe and Asia. While the local markets may represent enough sales potential for smaller firms, for medium and larger companies, the local market is just too small, and the only way to expand sales is to export. It should be said, however, if you are not selling regionally and nationally, then you should first aim at expanding your market share within the local market. Once you have saturated the national market, only then should you look beyond the borders of South Africa. It has been said that there are no sale barriers that automatically begins where your border ends. Increased sales also impact upon your profitability, although not always positively, your productivity by lowering units cost, and may increase your firm's perceived size and stature, thereby affecting its competitive position compared with other similar sized organizations. What is more, research and developed and other costs can also be offset against larger sales base or move into exports may contribute to the company's general expansion. For others, exports may be a way of testing the opportunities for overseas licensing, franchisee or production. Clearly, you are not likely to enter the export market in order to make a loss. Companies generally strive to make profits, and the bigger profits, the better. In many instances, exports can contribute to increased profits because the average orders from international customers are often larger than they are from the domestic buyers, as importers generally order by the container instead by the pallet. Some products, especially those that are unique or very innovative in nature, may also command greater profit margins abroad than in the local markets. Having said that, this is also not uncommon indeed. It is highly likely that you may receive smaller profit margins from your exporter sales compared with the local markets. The reason for this is highly competitive nature of global markets that forces exporters to lower prices, squeeze profits and reduce costs. You may also find that in some markets you generate higher profit margins, while in other markets your profit margins are considerably lower, reducing risk and balancing growth. It is risky being beyond to the domestic market alone. Export sales to a variety of diverse foreign markets can help reduce the risk that the company may be exposed to because of fluctuations in local and foreign business cycles. At any one time, UK, Australia and Germany will be enjoying different growth rates. By selling in all of these countries, the risk of low growth in one or more of these countries will be offset by increased growth in the others, thus resulting in a balanced portfolio of growth overall. In addition, with the challenging labor conditions that many firms in South Africa face today, exports may help to create and or maintain jobs, thus reducing the risk of labor dispute that could otherwise cripple the company. Lower unit cost exports help to put idle production capacity to work. This is generally achieved the more efficient utilization of the existing factory, machine and staff. What is more, because you are now selling more products without increasing total cost to the same extent, this has the effect of lowering your unit cost, which represents a more productive overall operation. Lower unit cost make a product more competitive in the local market space as well as the foreign markets, and or can contribute to the firm's overall profitability. Economies of scale. Exporting is an excellent way to enjoy pure economies of scale with products that are more global in scope and have a wider range of acceptance around the world. In other words, they can be used in other parts of the world without much adaptation. This is in contrast to products that must be adapted for each market, which is expensive and time consuming and requires more of an investment. The newer the product, the wider range of the acceptance in the world, especially to the younger customers, often referred to as global consumer. Minimizing the effect of seasonal fluctuation in sales. Being in the southern hemisphere, South Africa has seasons that are opposite those in the northern hemisphere. For companies that sell seasonal goods such as fruit growers, swimwear, suntan lotions, manufacturers being able to sell these goods in the northern hemisphere when our season ends help achieve a longer and more stable sales pattern. This increases the sales potential for these goods and also help reduce risk. With increased export production and sales, you can achieve economies of scale and spread cost over a large volume of revenue. You reduce average unit cost and increase overall profitability and competitiveness. Long-term exports may enable a company to expand its production facility in order to achieve an economic level of production. This should not be confused with increased throughout an existing capacity as discussed earlier in this episode. One good reason to begin exporting is when the local market is too small to support a farm's output or when the market becomes saturated. For companies that produce heavy industrial machinery or that have invested in large factories, they need to be able to sell enough of their manufactured goods to justify the investment and to ensure that the unit price of goods are kept acceptably low. With relatively small markets such as South Africa, it is usually not long before the local market becomes saturated and offers limited additional opportunities for sales. Many of South Africa's larger manufacturers have had turned to foreign markets to justify their existence. Examples include most of the motor vehicle manufacturers such as Opel and BMW, the paper producers such as Mondi and Sappi, and mining houses such as Anglo-American and B.B.S. The same is true for international firms such as Volvo, Philips, Roche. The only way firms such as these can justify their investment to sell abroad because their respective local markets are just too small. Overcoming low growth in the home market. It is not uncommon for a recession in the local market to act as a spur for companies to enter export markets that they offer greater opportunities for sale. While this may have the benefit of offering ongoing sales potential for the firms in question, the danger with this approach is that when the local market improves, these companies abandon their export markets to focus on resistant local markets. Overseas importers become disillusioned with this type of exporter and often see all firms from South Africa being the same and will want nothing more to do with South Africa exporters, even if they are serious. Extending the product life cycle. All products go through a product life cycle. In the beginning, they are novel and sales increase quite dramatically. Then sales level off and they become what is referred to as mature products, and eventually sales starts to decrease and the product goes into a decline. Now a product that has entered its decline stage may have a life elsewhere in the world, and by finding a market where this product could be sold anew, you are essentially extending the life cycle of the product. Alternatively, even if it is fairly common product, it may also be nearly the end of its life cycle in other overseas market, particularly in bigger markets such as Germany, the UK and the US, and they decide to discontinue the product. Although the market may have declined to a point that makes it uneconomical for these companies to continue manufacturing the product in question, the market may still be big enough for you to supply the declining market. This has the effect of making more efficient use of the existing factory infrastructure and other investments spent on the producing the product. This extends sales, lowers the unit cost even further and may allow for higher margins to be generated. When you have a product that is nearing its life cycle, you should always strive to see if you can find a market for the product abroad. Improving efficiency and product quality. The global market is a highly competitive place. By participating in this marketplace, you need to become equally efficient and quality conscious. It is generally the case that successful exporters are also very successful in their home markets because of their heightened efficiency and focus on product quality. Untapped markets. A company may have a very unique product that is not yet available elsewhere in the world. In this instance, these untapped markets are likely to drive the firm's export activities. Other firms may want to take advantage of high volume purchases in large markets overseas, such as in the US, Europe, and Asia. Addressing customer, competitor, and cost factors. The more formal theory of internationalization discusses customer, competitor, and cost factors that drive the internationalization process. The theory argues in some cases companies may go global in response to their customers moving abroad. Alternatively, they may follow their competitors abroad or may decide to enter a particular foreign market in order to attack an overseas competitor that has entered the firm's domestic markets in the competitor's own home market. Finally, companies may go international to take advantage of lower labor costs, skilled works, or other cost factors such as lower telecommunication or energy cost that are much better in a particular foreign market. For example, expanding into India to take advantage of programming skills and lower salaries could translate into a major advantage for a local software development firm. It should be said, however, that these factors are more likely to be relevant to larger firms instead of small-scale export operations. Student, as an example, let's cover reasons why small businesses should export. While small businesses are in survival mode during the current economic turndown, there are still decisions that can be made today which may have a positive impact on this year's bottom line. Small businesses account for 30% of all US exports, a staggering $300 billion per year. The fastest growing segment of US exporting companies comprises 65% of all US exporters are firms with 20 or fewer employees, demonstrating that size is no longer a requirement for success in global markets. Students, what play key role in the strategy and technology? With domestic customers still reeling from the recession, small business owners may want to diversify their market base by exporting their products or services. The following are 7 reasons why small firms should consider exporting as a way to expand sales base and lessen the effect of a down economy. 1. Market growth. Where is your company? Potential growth. If you look at world's demographics, you will find that 95.5% of world's population is outside the US. Today, the world population stands over 7 billion compared to 3.9 in 1973. It is estimated that this number will grow to 9.5 billion in 2050. If you have a product or service to sell, you want to go where the buyers are, and increasingly that outside the United States. Second, economies of scale. Assuming your firm has excess production capacity, it will be marginally less expensive to produce 500 units than 400 units, so your per unit cost will come down as you expand your sales into new overseas market. 3. Extend product life cycle. A product that may be nearly oldness in this market may still have demand in Asia or South America. Exporting that product will extend the product's life cycle. Or by lessening the technology to the overseas producer. A company could continue to generate a revenue or loyalty stream from the product through offshore production. Fourth, moderate seasonal production cycles. Any company that produces products related to the season, such as camping gear or ski equipment, should be aware that there are 2 summers and 2 winters every year on the planet. By selling seasonal products south of the equator during its off-season, a company could moderate seasonal fluctuations in its production cycle, a big benefit both to the company and its employees. Fifth, faster growth, higher profits. Several years ago, a comprehensive study was done that showed that exporters tend to grow 22% faster than non-exporting companies, that they have higher profits and that they stay in business longer. Exporters are winners by definition because they have shown that they can think outside the box and successfully compete in the global markets. Sixth, competition. The US market is extremely competitive compared to many other countries around the world where market share might be easier to obtain and profit might well be higher. Due to increased competition within the US markets, which could come from either foreign or domestic companies or both, a firm might decide it needs to enter other markets in order to grow in the businesses. Also, a small business might explore international opportunities as a response to its chief domestic competitor doing so in order to remain competitive in the long run. The competitor might be trying to lower production cost and or attempting to use overseas profits or economies of scale more aggressively compete at home. 7. Enjoy what you do. Part of life is having fun even at work. Many entrepreneurs would jump at the opportunity to visit the new distributor in Paris or make sale calls in Tokyo or Berlin. It is exciting to learn about new culture, to make friends with people from other countries, to try unusual, often exotic foods. Not only is it fun, but it brings the world closer together. International trade can benefit everyone by lowering cost, establishing friendship, and making economies and companies more productive and competitive. In this episode, we covered scope of marketing and why should a firm export. We also covered trade terms exporting marketing. Students, with this episode, we have covered entire topic: export marketing concept and environment, the exporter and importer, role of export, scope of exports, scope of marketing, and why should a firm export, trade terms in export marketing. It is important for you to see all the 3 episodes to understand the complete topic. That is all for today. Hope you have understood. We'll see you again with the next topic. Till then, take care. Bye.
Thank you.